Have you ever wondered what the world would look like without forests? Imagine walking outside, and instead of trees and birds, there's barren land, no shade, no fresh air, and no wildlife. That's the future we're heading toward if we don't act now.
It's a scary thought, but it's real. Deforestation is happening all around us, and its effects are more than just losing trees. It impacts everything from climate change to wildlife and even the air we breathe. Today, we're breaking down this critical issue.
If you've ever wondered how cutting down trees in one part of the world could impact the whole planet, you're in the right place. By the end of this episode, you'll know why saving our forests is one of the most urgent tasks ahead of us. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this.
Let's start by explaining what deforestation really is. People hear the term a lot, but they might not fully understand the scope. It's more than just chopping down a few trees.
Absolutely. Deforestation refers to the large-scale clearing of forests, and it's happening at an alarming rate. Did you know that every minute, we lose an area of forest the size of 27 soccer fields?
That's staggering, and it's not just happening in the Amazon, right?
No, deforestation is a global issue. It's happening in Africa, Southeast Asia, and even parts of Europe. The Amazon gets a lot of attention, and for good reason, but forests everywhere are in danger.
And when we talk about losing forests, we're not just talking about trees. Forests are ecosystems, home to countless species of plants and animals. So when forests disappear, it's not just the trees, we lose everything connected to them.
Exactly. Forests provide habitats for about 80% of the world's terrestrial species. Many of these species can't survive without their forest homes. Take the orangutan, for example. They live in the rainforests of Borneo and Sumatra, but with deforestation, their habitats are shrinking. Without those forests, their future is bleak.
It's heartbreaking, and beyond the loss of biodiversity, deforestation has massive consequences for humans, too. A lot of people don't realize that forests play a crucial role in regulating our climate.
Yes, forests act as the planet's lungs. They absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. When we destroy forests, we're not just losing trees, we're losing one of our best defenses against climate change. Trees absorb tons of carbon, helping to slow the rise of global temperatures. When they're cut down, that stored carbon is released back into the atmosphere, speeding up global warming.
And that's the problem, right? We're cutting down forests to make way for agriculture, urban development, and other industries, but we're not thinking about the long-term damage. We're trading the health of the planet for short-term economic gain.
Exactly. And one of the biggest drivers of deforestation is agriculture. Forests are being cleared to make room for crops like soy, palm oil, and cattle ranching. These industries are profitable, but the cost to the environment is enormous.
Palm oil is especially controversial. It's in so many products, from food to cosmetics, and demand for it is driving massive deforestation, particularly in Southeast Asia.
That's right. The palm oil industry is responsible for destroying huge areas of tropical rainforest, which are home to endangered species like tigers and orangutans. What's more, the clearing of these forests often involves setting fires, which release even more carbon into the atmosphere.
So it's not just the loss of the trees themselves, but also the method used to clear them that contributes to environmental destruction. Fires are devastating, not just locally, but for the global climate, too.
And these fires can rage out of control, causing health problems for people who live nearby due to the smoke and air pollution. It's a vicious cycle, cutting down forests, polluting the air, and then losing the very ecosystems that help keep our planet balanced.
The thing that really gets to me is how interconnected everything is. You cut down a forest on the other side of the world, and it impacts everyone, not just the animals living there, but people across the globe.
Yes, and this is where we see the ripple effect. Deforestation leads to soil erosion, which means that the land can't support crops as well. It disrupts water cycles, leading to droughts in some areas and flooding in others. And, of course, it contributes to climate change, which affects all of us, no matter where we live.
Let's talk about solutions for a moment. What can be done to stop deforestation? Because it feels like such a massive problem, where do we even start?
There are several things that can be done. First, protecting the forests that are still standing is crucial. Governments and organizations need to enforce laws that prevent illegal logging and land clearing. Another big step is reforestation, planting trees to replace the ones that have been lost.
And then there's sustainable farming and logging practices, right? It's about finding a balance, using the land and its resources in a way that doesn't destroy the environment.
Exactly. Sustainable agriculture and forestry practices can help reduce the need for deforestation while still providing resources. For example, agroforestry integrates trees and farming on the same land, which benefits both the crops and the environment.
I think one of the most important things is raising awareness. People don't always realize how much deforestation affects them personally. The more we talk about it, the more we can push for change.
Definitely. It's easy to feel disconnected from deforestation when it's happening thousands of miles away. But it's a global issue. We all have a part to play, whether it's by supporting sustainable products, advocating for stronger environmental protections, or just being aware of our own impact on the planet.
So, to everyone listening, deforestation is not just an environmental issue, it's a human issue. The forests we lose affect every aspect of life on Earth, and it's up to all of us to do something about it.
Absolutely. It may seem overwhelming, but change starts with awareness and action. Small steps, like supporting products that don't contribute to deforestation, can make a big difference. Every little bit counts.
You know, it's hard to think about how quickly we're losing forests, but while the statistics are overwhelming, there's still hope, right? We've seen some success stories, haven't we?
Yes, there have been positive developments. One of the best examples is Costa Rica. A few decades ago, they were facing one of the highest rates of deforestation in the world. They had lost about 75% of their forests by the 1980s. But today, they've completely reversed that trend.
What changed? What did they do differently?
Costa Rica took some bold steps. The government introduced policies that prioritized forest conservation and reforestation. They created national parks and protected areas, and they incentivized farmers to reforest their land. They also implemented a payment for ecosystem services program, which basically pays landowners to protect their forests instead of cutting them down.
That's incredible. It shows that with the right policies and public support, a country can turn things around. It makes you wonder, why aren't more countries following this model?
It's a combination of factors. In many places, deforestation is driven by poverty and the need for agricultural land. People rely on clearing forests to make a living, and without alternatives, it's hard to stop. But Costa Rica proves that investing in sustainable solutions can pay off in the long run.
It's interesting you bring up poverty. In some parts of the world, people are caught between survival and conservation. They need the land for farming, but the cost to the environment is huge. How do we balance those needs?
That's the tricky part, Jake. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. But initiatives like agroforestry, where trees and crops are grown together, can be a win-win. Farmers can still grow their crops, but they're also maintaining the health of the ecosystem by preserving tree cover. Plus, agroforestry can improve soil quality, prevent erosion, and even boost crop yields.
It sounds like a promising solution, but is it being implemented widely?
It's growing in popularity, especially in countries like Brazil and parts of Africa, but it hasn't been adopted as widely as it could be. There's still a lot of work to do to raise awareness and provide the resources that farmers need to make the switch.
It seems like we keep coming back to the idea of awareness. People don't always see the direct connection between their everyday actions and deforestation. Like, who would think that buying a chocolate bar could contribute to forest loss?
Exactly. The cocoa industry is another major driver of deforestation, especially in West Africa. Large areas of forest are cleared to make way for cocoa plantations. But here's the good news, there are companies that are trying to make sustainable cocoa farming a reality. Some chocolate brands are committed to sourcing their cocoa from farms that don't contribute to deforestation.
So, as consumers, we actually have a lot of power. By choosing products that are sustainably sourced, we're essentially voting with our wallets.
That's right. Every purchase is a statement. And with more people demanding sustainably sourced products, companies are starting to take notice. It's slow, but we're seeing progress.
But let's not forget about another massive issue related to deforestation: illegal logging. It's happening on a huge scale in places like the Amazon, where it's hard to monitor and enforce laws.
Illegal logging is devastating, and it's incredibly difficult to control. These loggers often operate in remote areas, and they're cutting down trees faster than governments can respond. Even when laws exist to protect forests, enforcement can be weak due to corruption or lack of resources.
So, how do we fight that? I mean, if laws aren't enough, what's the solution?
It's a tough battle. One solution that's gaining traction is using technology. For example, satellite monitoring systems can track deforestation in real time. This allows authorities to respond more quickly when illegal logging is detected. There's also work being done to create certification systems that help consumers know whether the wood products they're buying are sustainably sourced.
That's fascinating. Technology is definitely a game changer in this fight. It makes you wonder what more we could achieve with the right tools and international cooperation.
Technology is helping, but international cooperation is key. As you said, many of the world's largest rainforests stretch across multiple countries, so it's essential that these nations work together to create and enforce conservation policies. The Paris Agreement is a good example of how countries can come together to tackle climate change, and forests play a major role in that.
You mentioned earlier that reforestation is a big part of the solution. But what about planting trees in cities? Does urban reforestation make a difference?
It absolutely does. Urban reforestation, or planting trees in cities, has a lot of benefits. It improves air quality, provides shade, and helps cool down cities, which is especially important as global temperatures rise. It also creates green spaces for people to enjoy, which can boost mental health and well-being.
I've noticed more cities are making efforts to plant trees and create parks, but we're still seeing rapid urbanization. How do we balance that with the need for green spaces?
It's all about smart urban planning. Cities need to be designed with nature in mind. This means incorporating parks, green roofs, and tree-lined streets into urban development. It's about creating spaces where people and nature can coexist. Some cities, like Singapore, are already doing this very well.
Singapore is a great example. It's known as a city in a garden because of how well they've integrated greenery into the urban environment. It shows that even in densely populated areas, nature can thrive if we make it a priority.
Exactly. And let's not forget the importance of protecting existing urban forests. Many cities around the world have patches of forest or natural land within their borders, and these areas need to be preserved, not developed.
It's clear that we need to rethink how we're living, both in rural and urban settings, and it all ties back to the importance of forests, not just in faraway places like the Amazon, but right here in our own communities.
Yes, forests are the backbone of our ecosystems, and we can't afford to lose them. Whether it's supporting reforestation efforts, pushing for stronger conservation laws, or simply making smarter choices as consumers, there are ways we can all contribute.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the problem, but I think the key is to remember that change happens one step at a time. Even small actions, like choosing products that don't contribute to deforestation or planting a tree, can make a difference when enough people get involved.
Exactly. Every little bit helps. And when we come together, those small actions add up to something much bigger. Deforestation is a huge challenge, but it's not insurmountable. With awareness, action, and cooperation, we can protect our forests and the future of our planet.
Before we wrap up, Emma, what's one final message you'd like our listeners to take away from today's episode?
I'd say this: don't underestimate the power you have as an individual, whether it's making conscious choices, spreading the word, or even planting a tree. Every action counts. We can all play a part in protecting our forests and ensuring that future generations inherit a healthy, thriving planet.
That's a powerful message, and I hope everyone listening takes it to heart. Let's all do our part to protect the forests that give us so much.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Remember, forests aren't just places on the map, they're life support systems for our planet. Let's protect them, for us and for future generations.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to share it and subscribe for more important conversations like this one. Together, we can make a difference.
Until next time, stay informed and stay inspired. Let's work together for a greener, healthier world.